Hey everyone, and welcome. If you're here, I bet you're at least a little curious about what it might be like to actually live in a Shanghai service apartment in, say, 2025.
That's right. The future of living, right in the heart of one of the world's most dynamic cities.
And luckily for us, someone's already done a lot of the legwork for us.
Oh, yeah.
We've got this fantastic piece here called Discover the Ultimate Comfort, Your Guide to Shanghai Service Apartment Living in 2025.
Sounds promising.
It is. And for this deep dive, we're not going to just, skim the surface.
Right.
We're going to really figure out the WHY, the what to watch out for, and paint a picture of what it would actually feel like to be there.
To live that service apartment life. I'm excited.
Me too. So, when I first started reading this, the thing that immediately struck me was how service apartments are kind of this perfect blend.
Oh, tell me.
It's like they combine the luxury of a hotel, right, with that homey feel of an apartment.
Yeah, I see that. That makes total sense. You get the best of both worlds.
Exactly. But why would someone actually choose a service apartment over, say, just staying in a hotel?
Well, I think the piece hits on a few really key advantages. Cost effectiveness is huge, especially if you're staying in Shanghai for a while.
Longer stays, yeah.
I mean, think about it. Hotel rates can be crazy expensive.
Oh, yeah.
With a service apartment, you could be saving a ton of money.
Especially over time.
Exactly. And that's money you could be spending on experiencing Shanghai,
Like amazing food.
cultural events, or even taking weekend trips to explore other parts of China.
I love that perspective. It's not just about saving money on accommodation. It's about what that extra cash frees you up to do.
Exactly. You're investing in the whole Shanghai experience.
So, okay, let's say you're sold on this whole service apartment idea.
Right.
Where do you even begin to choose where to live in a city as massive and diverse as Shanghai?
Well, that's where the fun starts.
Yeah.
Each neighborhood has its own vibe,
Mhm.
It's like choosing your own adventure.
Okay, I like that. So, where do we begin?
Let's start with Zhujiawi. This is a great spot for, young professionals or families
Okay.
who want a blend of modern and historical. It's super well connected to, easy to get around.
So, like good transportation.
Public transportation, tons of amenities, you name it.
Okay.
Imagine this, it's a sunny weekend afternoon. You decide to stroll through the Shanghai Botanical Gardens.
Ooh, sounds nice.
Beautiful green space, right in the city. Later, you could hit up Grand Gateway 66 for some shopping, or catch a movie at the Shanghai Film Museum.
Sounds like the perfect weekend. But what if you're looking for something a little more steeped in history?
Then you might fall in love with Xintiandi. Imagine wandering through those narrow lanes lined with Shikumen architecture, those traditional houses with courtyards.
Just cool.
They've been transformed into trendy shops, art galleries, and cafes. It's like stepping back in time, but with modern conveniences.
That's so cool. It reminds me of, I was just reading about Riverdale residence Shintiandi. Apparently it's super popular with families, especially because of those courtyards.
Oh, interesting. The kids have space to play, which is so important in a big city.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so we've got Zhujiahui for that modern meets historical vibe, Jindiandi for history buffs.
Uh-huh.
What's our third option?
All right, if you're someone who wants to wake up to some of the most iconic views in Shanghai, then the Bund is calling your name.
Oh, the Bund. Classic.
It's synonymous with luxury, high-end apartments, top-notch facilities. You're right on the waterfront, steps away from those famous landmarks.
It doesn't get much more iconic than that. I was just looking at some reviews, and the Atungo Hotel, Shanghai, the Bund, seems to be getting a lot of buzz.
Haven't heard of that one.
It's supposed to have this really chic, minimalist vibe, and it's right near the Yuan Garden metro station, so super convenient for getting around.
Sounds worth checking out.
So we've got 3 amazing neighborhoods, each with its own unique flavor. But let's move beyond just the location. What about the actual experience of living in one of these service apartments? What makes it stand out? Oh, this is where things get really interesting. Just picture this. You've had a long day exploring the city.
Right.
You come back to your service apartment, and you sink into a luxurious silk latex mattress.
Ooh, I can feel it already.
Or how about this? You're getting ready for your day, and you use this high-tech smart toilet with all these crazy features.
Okay, now I'm intrigued.
It's all about those little details that make you feel pampered.
I was actually reading about Residence 110. They have this at-home starter kit when you move in.
Oh, that's nice.
It's got everything you need, toiletries, basic kitchen supplies, just to get you settled in.
It's those thoughtful touches that make a difference.
Totally. And it's not just about the physical stuff, right?
No.
There's this whole other level of service, like having a 247 concierge.
Oh, imagine that.
Need reservations at a Michelin-starred restaurant? Done. Last-minute airport transfer, no problem.
And with robot food delivery becoming more common in Shanghai, you could have dinner from your favorite restaurant delivered right to your door.
Talk about effortless living. But one thing I've been wondering about is the social aspect.
Oh, interesting point.
These apartments sound amazing, but isn't there a risk of feeling isolated, especially if you're new to the city?
I see what you mean. It's a valid concern. But a lot of these service apartments are actively trying to create a sense of community.
So it's not just about providing a luxurious living space, it's also about fostering a sense of belonging.
Exactly.
So what does that actually look like? How do they do that?
Well, for starters, many of them have these beautifully designed communal areas, rooftop gardens with amazing views, cozy lounges where you can hang out with your neighbors,
I love that idea.
and even co-working spaces if you work remotely.
Makes sense. So you're not just stuck in your apartment all the time.
Exactly. And then there are the organized events. They put on wine tastings, cooking classes, movie nights, language exchange meetups, you name it.
It's like having a built-in social life, which can be so valuable when you're new to a city.
Absolutely. They're taking the guesswork out of meeting people.
Okay, we can't talk about Shanghai without talking about food.
Oh, the food.
I mean, Shanghai is a foodie's paradise.
It's a culinary adventure waiting to happen.
From street food to Michelin-starred restaurants, it's got it all. So how do these service apartments tap into that incredible food scene?
Well, a lot of them have their own in-house dining options.
Oh, right, in the building.
Yep. Everything from casual cafes to elegant restaurants. But the real magic is when you venture out into the neighborhood.
Explore those side streets.
Exactly. You've got to try the xiaolongbao, those delicious soup dumplings.
Oh, yeah, those are a must.
And then there's the incredible Sichuan cuisine.
Spicy.
But honestly, the best way to experience Shanghai's food scene is to just be adventurous and try something new every day.
Okay, sold. But as much as I love talking about food, we need to get to the practical side of things.
Oh, right, the nitty-gritty details.
Because let's be real, no living situation is perfect. So let's shift gears and talk about some of the things to consider if you're seriously thinking about living in a Shanghai service apartment in 2025.
Sounds good to me.
The first thing that comes to mind is the rental agreement.
Yes, the legal stuff.
Those can be a bit daunting, especially if you're not familiar with the local laws and regulations. And I'm guessing it's even more important to pay attention to the fine print when you're dealing with a service apartment.
Absolutely.
There might be specific clauses about length of stay, payment terms, use of amenities, and so on. If you're not fluent in Mandarin, get a professional translation.
Or have a local friend review it.
Yes. Don't just skim it. Really understand what you're signing up for.
Good advice.
Okay, so you've got the legal stuff figured out. How do you actually go about finding the perfect service apartment for you?
Well, the good news is there are tons of resources out there. Start by browsing online listings.
Like Smart Shanghai?
Exactly. Or even Airbnb for longer stays. But don't limit yourself to the internet.
Right. Get out there.
Once you have a few neighborhoods in mind, walk around, pop into the lobby, see if you could chat with some residents.
Word of mouth is so valuable.
Absolutely. It's like dating for apartments.
Ha! I love that analogy.
You've got to find the one that gives you that spark, that feeling of, this is it.
So true. Okay, so we've talked about the legal stuff, finding the right apartment. What about the financial side of things?
Ah, yes, the elephant in the room, cost. While service apartments can be more cost-effective than hotels, they are generally pricier than traditional rentals. But you're paying for all those amenities and services.
The convenience, the lifestyle.
Exactly. It's not just about the space itself. So, to give everyone a realistic idea, let's break down those monthly costs.
Yeah, let's get specific.
All right, so based on what we're seeing, rent for a service apartment in Shanghai in 2025 could be anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 per month.
Okay, that's a pretty wide range.
It really depends on the size, location, and those amenities we talked about. On top of that, you'll have utilities, probably another $100 to $200.
And internet essential these days, especially if you work remotely.
Absolutely, another $30 to $50.
And some might have a monthly maintenance fee on top of that, maybe $50 to $100.
Right, good point.
So it all adds up. It's really important to create a realistic budget and factor in all those costs.
Couldn't agree more.
But hey, there's a silver lining here. Our source mentioned that vacancy rates have been on the rise recently.
Oh, interesting.
So you might have some leverage when negotiating rent.
Don't be afraid to haggle a bit.
Exactly. Okay, we've covered a lot of practical ground in this first part of our deep dive,
Yeah, we have.
but we've only scratched the surface of what it's actually like to live in Shanghai.
There's so much more to explore.
So stay tuned for part two, where we'll dive into the heart and soul of Shanghai, its vibrant culture, its fascinating history, and its undeniable charm.
It's going to be an adventure.
Can't wait.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Shanghai Service Apartments.
Part two. We've talked about the neighborhoods, the fancy amenities, even the practicalities like rental agreements.
Right, we've laid the groundwork, but now...
Now I want to get to the WHY.
Really?
Like, what's really driving this trend towards service apartment living, especially in a city like Shanghai? It can't just be about, smart toilets and robot food delivery.
It's deeper than that.
Right. And our source actually hints at some pretty interesting social and cultural shifts that are fueling this whole thing.
Oh, like what?
Well, one of the big ones is the increasing mobility of the workforce.
Yeah, that makes sense. People are moving around for work more than ever before.
Exactly. And they need flexible housing options that can keep up,
Instead of being locked into a traditional lease.
especially if you're not sure how long you'll be in a city.
Totally. Service apartments give you that freedom a few weeks, a few months, even longer.
And let's not forget about the convenience factor.
Oh, yeah, huge.
Yeah.
Imagine arriving in Shanghai after a long flight. You're exhausted.
Jet lag.
The last thing you want to do is deal with finding furniture or setting up utilities.
Yeah, such a hassle.
With a service apartment, you just walk in and everything's done.
Like a home away from home, but without the headaches.
Exactly. It's like hitting the easy button on life, at least for your living situation.
I love that. But it's not just about practicality and convenience.
No.
There's a social aspect to this, too. I mean, our source really emphasized how these service apartments can create a sense of community.
Oh, that's so interesting, especially in a city as big and busy as Shanghai.
It's easy to feel lost in a sea of millions of people.
Right, like you're just another face in the crowd.
But these apartments offer a chance to connect, to feel like you belong.
I've definitely felt that sense of isolation when traveling to big cities. You're surrounded by people, but you're still alone.
Exactly. And that's where those shared spaces, those community events, even just bumping into your neighbors in the lobby, can make a huge difference.
It's like creating these little micro communities within the city.
I love that way of thinking about it. It makes me wonder how this trend might evolve, As technology changes, lifestyles shift. What will the next generation of service apartments be like?
Ooh, now we're getting into the realm of speculation. Fun. I think we could see even more integration of smart home technology.
Like even smarter than what they have now.
Oh yeah, think personalized services, things that are tailored to your individual preferences, and a bigger focus on sustainability.
Ooh, tell me more about the personalized stuff.
Well, imagine a service apartment that knows your habits and preferences.
Okay.
It adjusts the lighting and temperature for you, orders your groceries based on your diet,
No way.
even suggests activities you might enjoy, all based on your interests.
That's wild. Almost a little creepy, but also kind of cool.
Right, and maybe they become even more self-contained, like little ecosystems.
What do you mean?
Think co-working spaces, fitness studios, maybe even vertical farms right there in the building, providing fresh produce.
Whoa, that's next level. Okay, we've talked a lot about the positives, but what about the flip side? Are there any potential downsides or challenges to service apartment living?
Of course, nothing's perfect. Our source focused on the benefits. But we need to be realistic, right? One thing to remember is that even though you have more flexibility than a traditional lease, you're still bound by a contract.
Right, gotta read that fine print.
Exactly. And all those shared spaces and events might not be for everyone.
Introverts might need a break sometimes.
Exactly. And while service apartments can be more cost-effective than hotels, they're generally more expensive than traditional rentals.
Plus all those extra costs, utilities, maintenance fees, all that jazz.
It adds up quickly.
Budgeting is key.
Couldn't agree more. And finally, you're living in a managed environment.
So there are rules.
Yep, rules and regulations. You might not have as much freedom to personalize your space as you would in a traditional apartment.
That's a good point. Some people love that structure, others not so much.
It all comes down to your personality and priorities, right?
Exactly. Okay, so we've talked about the pros and cons, the practicalities, even the potential future of service apartment living.
We've covered a lot of ground.
But there's one aspect we haven't really touched on yet, the emotional side. What does it actually feel like to live in one of these places?
Oh, I love that question. Imagine you've just arrived in Shanghai, maybe for a new job or long-awaited adventure.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You step into your service apartment,
Ugh.
and relief washes over you. The stress of travel melts away.
Ah, that sounds amazing.
You're surrounded by comfort. Everything's taken care of, from fresh linens to a fully stocked kitchen.
You can finally relax and breathe.
Exactly. And that sense of ease allows you to fully embrace the city.
No need to worry about unpacking boxes or setting up the
You
Wi-Fi.
can just dive right into the Shanghai experience.
I love that image. It's like having a sanctuary amidst the chaos.
Exactly. A place to recharge and come back to after a day of exploring.
But what about the day-to-day experience? Once the initial excitement fades, what does it actually feel like to live in a service apartment?
Well, I imagine there's a real sense of freedom. You
Freedom.
don't have to worry about cleaning, laundry, maintenance.
Yeah.
It's all taken care of.
That would free up so much time and mental energy.
Right. You can focus on exploring the city, pursuing your passions, or simply relaxing.
It's not just about convenience. It's about creating a life that feels more fulfilling.
And the social connections, too.
Oh, yeah, those are so important.
Imagine coming home after a busy day, bumping into your neighbors in the lounge, sharing stories.
It's those little moments that create a sense of belonging, especially in a new place.
It can even lead to unexpected adventures. Maybe you discover a hidden restaurant through a local's recommendation, or you end up on a spontaneous weekend trip with your new friends.
That's the beauty of it, right? You never know what might happen.
And as you settle into this lifestyle, a sense of rootedness starts to emerge.
Rootedness. But you're not living in a traditional home.
True, but you're still creating a sense of place, a space where you feel comfortable and connected.
Home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about how a place makes you feel.
I love that. And that brings us to the heart of what makes service apartment living so appealing. It's not just about convenience or luxury. It's about creating a lifestyle that supports your well-being, fosters connection, and allows you to fully embrace the city.
We've explored the practical side, the social side, even the emotional side of this whole thing.
We've gone deep.
We have, but there's still one piece missing.
What's that?
You, our listener. How can you use all of this information to figure out if this lifestyle is right for you?
The so what?
Exactly. That's what we'll unpack in part 3. And we're back. Final part of our deep dive into Shanghai service apartments in 2025.
I feel like we've covered so much already.
We have, from luxury amenities to, like, the emotional side of moving to a new city.
And what the future might hold.
Exactly. But now it's time to get down to the nitty-gritty.
The so what?
Exactly. How can all this info actually help you decide if this lifestyle is right for your Shanghai adventure?
Let's say you've been listening to all this and thinking, Shanghai Service Apartment Living, sign me up. What do you do next?
First things first, I think you got to get clear on your WHY. What are your reasons for wanting this lifestyle?
Are you looking for a temporary, no-stress home base for work?
Or are you picturing yourself really immersing in Shanghai culture long-term?
Maybe you're just drawn to that luxurious, low-maintenance lifestyle with a built-in social scene.
Whatever your why is, it's going to shape all your other decisions.
So once you've got that figured out, it's time to think about your needs and what you actually want.
Like, what kind of apartment layout do you see yourself in?
Studio, 1 bedroom, 2. What amenities can't you live without? A gym, maybe.
Pool, co-working space.
Rooftop garden with those killer city views. Don't forget about location.
Oh, yeah, huge decision. Each neighborhood in Shanghai is so different.
Shijiawi, Xinjiandi, the Bund, they all have their own vibe.
This is where actually getting out there and exploring comes in. Pictures online can only show you so much.
If you can, spend some time in the neighborhoods you're considering.
Walk the streets, imagine yourself living there, check out the shops, eat at some local spots.
Talk to people who live there.
Get that real insider perspective.
And as you're checking out different service apartment complexes, pay attention to how they make you feel.
Ooh, that's interesting. It's like trusting your gut instinct.
Exactly. Does a place spark joy? Does it feel welcoming?
Or do you get, like, a weird vibe, even if you can't put your finger on why? Trust those feelings.
Okay, so you figured out your why, you've explored different areas, you've got a short list of places you like.
Now it's time to talk about money.
Budgeting time. Time to get real with those numbers.
Remember those estimated costs we talked about?
Take those, think about your own spending habits, and be honest with yourself.
Can you truly afford this lifestyle?
And remember to include all the costs, utilities, internet, transportation, fun stuff.
All those dumplings.
Exactly. Don't forget those negotiating tips either.
Right.
With vacancy rates being what they are, you might be able to get a better deal.
Always worth a shot. Okay, before you sign any contracts,
The legal stuff.
take another look at that rental agreement. Read every single detail, ask questions if anything's unclear,
And if you can, reach out to some people who actually live or have lived in the complex you're considering.
They'll give you the real scoop, the good, the bad, the unexpected.
Nothing beats real-life experience.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. But before we wrap up, I just want to emphasize one thing.
That's it.
This is about so much more than just finding an apartment.
It's a whole lifestyle shift.
Exactly. It's about embracing adventure, new experiences, stepping outside your comfort zone.
It's about immersing yourself in a new culture and creating a life that truly reflects who you are and what you want.
It's exciting and honestly a little daunting at the same time.
Definitely. So as you're thinking about all of this, remember to embrace the unexpected. Be open to whatever comes your way.
That's where the magic happens. Well, that's about it for our deep dive into Shanghai Service Apartment Living in 2025.
It's been a journey.
We've given you the knowledge, the tools, the inspiration. Now it's up to you to take the next step.
Create your own Shanghai story.
We can't wait to hear about it. Until our next deep dive, happy exploring.